갑자기 내게 나타나준 너.
It was a time in the future when humanoid robots had become common across the world. People could own robots with license from the government and use them for various purposes. In the country where Ragini lived, one could identify a robot by scanning their eyes with a simple cell phone. Ragini was a college graduate. She was recruited freshly by a robot-making company to take care of the robots that participated in fights. It was her first day at work. After getting the robots ready for the day's show, she waited to witness the first fight. The bell rang and the crowd cheered. Two very handsome humanoid robots entered the arena from opposite sides. The fight began. Sitting near the ring, Ragini was surprised by the intensity of the fight. During the fight, one of the robots fell on its face in the ring in front of Ragini. Although she knew that the robots didn't feel pain, the one on the floor faked emotions very well. Ragini felt worried about him. The robot named Adi-10 looked at Ragini for a moment and then smiled flirtingly. Ragini held her breath. She was mesmerized by that smile. That day after the fight, on inquiring about Adi-102, she found out that it belonged to her company. The owner took care of it personally.
Didn't you see his moves? It's definitely a costly one. Addy 102 wins almost all the fights it goes for.
A colleague told Ragini. The next time she saw his fight, Ragini could clearly sense that the robot Adi-10 looked for her in the crowd. It stopped looking around once it saw her. She felt an unexplainable thrill when his eyes met hers. What was all this? She had to know why she felt that way towards a robot. She snuck into its vanity van when its attender was busy talking to someone. The robot had closed its eyes as if it had been snoozed. She sat beside him and touched its shoulder. It opened its eyes.
Reactivated.
Ragini said. Adi-102 looked blankly at Ragini while she observed him for some time.
You are a robot. It's for sure. Why do I feel this way about you? I must be stupid to have fallen for a robot.
She murmured. She moved forward to kiss his lips but stopped midway and retreated.
I must have really lost my senses.
Just as she was thinking to leave, the robot's hands reached out to her.
갑자기 내게 나타나준 너.
It pulled her closer and kissed her passionately. His lips were tender and warm. Ragini kissed him back. When the kiss broke, he looked at her with longing.
What did I do? Did I awaken a robot?
Ragini feared.
Scanning eyes. He is definitely a robot.
Meet me at the Ruby Market. At 4 p.m. tomorrow, near the bird statue.
Adi-102 said and asked her to leave the van. Ragini agreed. She waited for him at the decided spot that evening. A lot of theories ran in her head as she sighed in confusion. A man in a hoodie with a partially covered face stopped in front of her, blinking with his coal-black eyes.
Adi 102.
He said.
I am not a robot. My real name is Ravi.
Ragini's eyes widened with surprise.
But the fights?
They are fake.
And your eyes?
Next generation technology.
Ragini found herself thanking the universe. They met in secret since that day. Their dates were always adventurous and exhilarating. Ravi would hide his face in the crowd and only go barefaced for her in privacy. No one could see him as a laughing, feeling, eating, and socializing human. She would clench her fist and scrunch her eyes whenever he got hit in the fight. She would fiddle her toes anxiously. The anxiety would only go away when she got to hug him next.
I am so afraid. What if anyone discovers that you are not a robot? It's illegal to pose as one.
She would say.
Just a little longer. Let me gather enough money before quitting. What are you afraid of when the owner of the company is on our side?
Ravi would say. One day, during one of the fights, Ragini's friend said.
Yes, bro. Kill it like you killed your victims.
Ragini looked at her surprised.
Sorry, I got swayed by the thought of the original killer.
Her friend said. Ragini was still confused.
The serial killer the robot's face is based on.
What are you even trying to say?
Oh, seems you don't know. See the robot Adi 102. Doesn't he remind you of someone? The notorious serial killer Vijayanth, drowned in sea last year.
Ragini was shocked. She searched the web for information immediately. Her friend was right. The serial killer's face matched that of Ravi's. She ran away as fast as she could to escape the chaos. While in her bedroom, she went on staring at Ravi's photo. To get rid of the anger, fear, and confusion in her, she wrote on the web page.
Vijayanth is alive. I know him.
Soon she realized what she had done. But the post was already permanent. It couldn't be undone. But thankfully, the ID she had used was anonymous. After that day, she never picked up Ravi's calls. She didn't report to work. She stayed in her brother's apartment, who was out of the country on a tour. Nearly a month passed, and she had to get out for a health checkup. She hid her face and walked outdoors, fearful of every passing human. She came across a tunnel on her way. It was partially dark and secluded at that time of the day. She walked faster, to be out of the tunnel soon. Just as she was about to exit the tunnel, Ravi appeared in front of her from behind a pillar. His eyes were scary and strange. His smile was villainous. She felt as if she had never really known Ravi.
Did you really think I couldn't find you? I have researched all about you. You are an ordinary chick. Now, what doesn't make any sense is that you have the guts to challenge me.
He said. Now he talked like a stranger too. Although she was afraid of him, she believed that Ravi wouldn't hurt her. But to her disbelief, Ravi started pressing her neck. His eyes and breath seemed more and more cruel as he tightened his grip. But then, suddenly, someone punched his face really hard and he fell to the ground. He saw a figure with his own face before being unconscious. A man with Ravi's face stood in front of Ragini. Ragini could not believe her eyes. He kneeled down and checked the unconscious man and then rose up to talk to Ragini.
Are you all right?
Ragini said nothing. Understanding her confusion, the man said,
I am Ravi. The man on the floor is Vijayanth, the serial killer. I had no idea I had picked the face of a serial killer.
Ragini didn't understand.
I will tell you everything later. Let's get out of here first.
Ravi said and led her to his van nearby. Ragini had her doubts, but still she followed him. In the van, when they sat face to face, Ragini gathered her courage to ask her questions.
Are you his twin?
No, I just chose his face.
Are you a robot?
No,
What are you then?
don't be scared when I reveal myself. I would never harm you or anybody else. Just know that. Have you ever heard of shapeshifters? I am something similar to that. Except, I can't change into animals.
What do you mean?
Right in front of her eyes, Ravi transformed himself into a woman. Then he transformed to look like another man. Ragini sat still. Her mind was puzzled.
I was born this way. I could change into whoever I saw. I have changed my faces so often since childhood that I don't even know what my real face was. I don't have a face of my own, I just have a name, Ravi. And I have super strength. The fights you see are real. I take on those robots with innovative fight moves. People are impressed, thinking it's a robot who has that ability. If they knew the truth, they would never accept me. Being a robot is the safest way to steal someone's face. I know it's a bit too much to ask of you, but would you ever be able to look at me the way you used to?
Ravi said. Ragini had already seen the sincerity in Ravi's eyes. She knew that he loved her.
Strange, you would ask that. Look closely. Am I not looking at you the same way?
Ravi went closer to see and smiled like the luckiest man on earth. 3 years later, Ragini and Ravi are still committed, still having their wild dates, and still in love.
I'm your